afternoon, guys. I am just getting my shoes on. We're getting ready to go out and work in the garden, and I'll show you some of the tips and tricks that I do to my tomato plants and some of the other plants. I've cleaned up most of them, but I just wanted to take you guys for the rest of the ride, and then I'm gonna trellis my tomato plants. Now this right here is this is pumpkin. You can see you got some leaves turning a little bit yellow, but there is no growth. I cut off those leaves. You can see I've cut off other leaves. Anything that's turning really yellow or getting diseased, I cut off. They don't need that many leaves. This stuff over here is looking great. Potatoes are looking great. Let's see if we have any suckers on these tomato plants that we need to get rid of. Nope. This one's touching the ground, so I'm going to cut this leaf off. You don't want your tomato plants touching the ground. No new suckers on there. This one as well. We'll go ahead and cut that off. And this one. And cut off this bottom leaf. No suckers, so that's good. Tomato plant looks like it really needs some watering. I'm gonna go over here to this squash plant, summer squash, zucchini. Just gonna cut this leaf off here. Always cut the diseased leaves off. This is off my basil. This tomato plant over here in the corner. That one doesn't look real great, so I'm cutting that off. These are tomato plants I planted in May, so it's a little earlier. So I'm going to cut. So right in here, in between this leaf here, is a little sucker. I'm going to pull that off. And there's also a little sucker right there. I'm pulling that off. I'm going to trellis these better, so I'm going to take all this down. We're going to put up some fencing trellis on these. Now let's look at this tomato plant here. It's pretty full, so I'm sure it's got stuff on it that I need to cut back. This right here is a giant sucker. You can actually, I might try this. I'm gonna put this in the ground over here and see if it grows new roots. I'm gonna water it really well, because they say sometimes that you don't even have to put it in water. What you can do is you can put this in water in your house and it will grow new roots, and then you put it in the ground. But since it's later in the season, I might go ahead and try to just put this straight into the ground this way and just keep it watered really, really well for a little while. So I'm going to put this right over here. Nice wet soil down here. There we go. this plant. Chickens love it when I'm pruning tomatoes. So on this one, see if you guys are seeing this. On this tomato plant here, it's got leaves really close to the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those off. And throw that to the chickens. Some people say chickens can't eat tomatoes. I've never had a problem with it, so let's see if I can get you close up to here. Now this one I kind of let take off too much, so we have a lot of unwanted growth on this. It's split in two. A lot of people like just their tomatoes just split in one. I'm going to go ahead and leave this where it's at, but I'm going to cut off some of these lower leaves because I don't want any leaves getting splash up on it from our rains here in Oregon. Because it really damages the plants. Got this little tomato over here. And you can see it's got a leaf touching the ground. We'll take that off. And the rest of it looks really good. These leaves look really bad on this plant over here. Let's see if what you guys can see. And then this one has a bunch of lower leaves that will get splash up on them. One way down to the ground. We'll cut those off. We've got this sucker right here. This sucker right here. Hoping you guys can see this. So I just cut this spot off here. That was a sucker. This is a little sucker right here. I try to use scissors with this, guys, unless they're little bitty ones, because otherwise your tomato plant can rip. There's a little sucker right here and one right here in between this little armpit of the plant. And it looks like this one has another side shoot off of it too. I'm going to go ahead and leave that, but I don't want my plant to have more than 2 side shoots. So we have our little squash plant down here. I'm going to cut off these 2 leaves near the bottom because you can see they have damage on them like that. I don't know what that's from, but I don't want my plants putting energy. This is slug and a little copper damage. I'm going to deadhead these teddy bear sunflowers. And you can see there's already another little shoot coming off that teddy bear sunflower there. There's broccoli bolted in here, so I'm going to cut that off. You can see how it's getting really long, and just chickens will love to eat the broccoli. And then in here I have another summer squash. It looks really healthy. And it looks like we have some little baby squashes on here. But there is a couple leaves that I'm going to trim away. I like to keep my squashes clipped up and getting all those dead leaves out of there. Or if there's too many leaves, I clip them really good because they will get mold on them if you have too many leaves in there. So that's just what I do to keep things nice and trim. And I'm gonna go ahead now that since this has come together, this is my rhubarb here. I'm gonna go ahead and cut off those leaves of rhubarb. I am not gonna give those to the chickens, however. And then I'll go ahead and cut this nice stick of rhubarb there. Okay. There's another one. So with rhubarb, you do not want to feed it to your animals. It is poisonous. Even though my chickens ate this and they all turned out fine, I am not going to chance it because it is one of those plants that is really poisonous. So never give that to your animals. And you can't eat the leaves either. I mean, they're that poisonous. So I went ahead and when I trimmed those leaves, I went ahead and took some sticks of rhubarb off of there. So now I'm going to come back and just water everything and get ready for when my husband comes home, and we can go ahead and get the tomatoes all trellised up nicely. So these ones over here, over behind me, definitely need it. The ones over here basically already have trellis to start with, so I'm not too worried about that, but I gotta go get my gardener's tape and get on that. But everything else looks pretty good. My sweet potatoes seems to really be struggling. I've never done sweet potatoes before. It looks like my peppers are starting to grow. I am gonna go ahead and do a cowboy candy video. I did buy some jalapenos to do that, so look for that video. That's coming soon. I should be doing that one next week, but we're just gonna get to it over here. Everything's looking good, growing in good. Oh, I am gonna also tonight before I go to bed fertilize my tomatoes with some tomato fertilizer. I think it's by Good Earth. It's meant for tomatoes, and then get these guys trellised nicely so we don't lose any breaking in the wind. So I'm gonna get on that and I'll be right back and start watering stuff. Say about the strawberry, or about the rhubarb, is that you also do not want to put that in your compost. Throw the rhubarb leaves in the garbage. That's how poisonous they are. So don't want to ruin your garden trying to feed your garden. It's just Okay, so that's the watering. So that's how I prune my plants, guys, and water everything. I just, deadhead the flowers that need to come off, and take any foliage off on cucumbers or any squashes like that are either yellowing or getting little white spots on them. That means that your plant, if you're getting the mold, the white spots on the mildew, basically is what it is, on your plants, that means that you're not getting enough air floration or air through your plant. So it's good to trim some leaves if it's really full, and get some air movement around those plants, and making sure you get those suckers off your tomatoes. I hope and just continue to, and I don't let my tomatoes go off in maybe 2 shoots, but that's about it when they're growing up. I don't want them any thicker or wider than that. In the Northwest, where it rains so much, or if you're living in the South where it's really humid, it doesn't get enough air moving through those plants. And it also, if you keep your plants really thin and trimmed, you're not going to get more tomatoes necessarily, but you're going to get nicer, healthier, bigger tomatoes. So it's only the 2 of us. We don't need more tomatoes. We need healthier tomatoes. So that's just what I do, and I like to do that, and I've had good success with that in the past. So there we go, and I hope you guys will like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.